welcome to my channel. This is going to be a one sheet wonder video. I'm going to take this 12 by 12 sheet of paper and cut it all up. There's not going to be any waste, and I'm going to make 14 cards out of it. I'm going to do all of this in front of you so that you can see how to cut the paper, and then how I have made the different layouts and how I put the cards together. I will also show you all the materials that I use for this card, but it will also be listed down below. I hope you will try this yourself. You too can get 14 cards out of one 12 by 12 sheet of paper. You could also get 12 cards identical if you wanted to. I just decided to switch it up a little bit and make several different layouts. I ended up with a total of 5 layouts. To make these 14 cards, I'm going to show you everything that I'm going to use for all the cards, but I won't be using every single stamp set for each card. From Stampin' Up, I have the Time of Year stamp set and the Something to Celebrate stamp set. Also from Stampin' Up, I have one stamp from the fine print stamp set. From Perfectly Clear stamp set, I have the Thanks Dad. From Dare to Be Artsy, I have the Thanks Die Cut. From Honeybee, I have the Free Bee with die. Also the Hugs die set and the Love Bug stamp set. I have a large background stamp, which is a honeycomb. I also have a small hexagon punch and a large hexagon punch. I'm probably going to be using sparkles from my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and rhinestones and some other items which I will bring in as we go. What I'm going to do for this video, I'm going to show you the prototype that I have designed for this layout, and then I'm going to put the card together for you. And I'm confident that it'll be very simple for you to follow and you can recreate this card yourself. The reason I don't have a prototype made ahead of time is because this is a one sheet wonder technique and I'm going to make all the cards at once. Alright, let's get started. This is going to be fun. I'd like to explain to you how to make a prototype. A prototype is how you're going to lay your card out, and you do it with waste materials so that you don't actually use your actual materials. And this 12 by 12 sheet of paper, I don't want to waste it while I go through different possibilities of how I'm going to lay the card out. So what I do is photocopy as much of the 12 by 12 paper as I can get on to the paper. If there is a motif or something that I really need to focus on, I will make sure that that part goes on to the printer and just photocopy it. And then I can take and cut this into the different dimensions that I think I'm going to use, and I haven't wasted anything but the photocopy paper. And for this particular example, I have the 4x4 sheet panel, the 4x4 panel, which I cut out of the 12 by 12 paper, and I wanted to design a layout for that. So here we are. So here is the representation of this panel here, And I took some plain copy paper and I tinted it and stamped on it as I would in the original, and another plain piece of copy paper which I just took a little bit of ink and went along the edges, and this would represent the mat. And this is the actual card that I designed from that prototype. So I was able to try different things. Like I thought maybe I didn't want that hugs over here. I wanted it over there, for example. And this is only lightly adhered. I just put a little bit of removable adhesive on it so that I could move it as I wanted to and try different things. And even this part I'll be able to move it. This one I pressed down a little hard though. So if I wanted to try put it on an angle, for example, I don't, of course, because that would look silly. But this is just easily able to help. And this is a very good time-saving tip that I hope that you will try to incorporate into your card making. So make a prototype with waste materials, then you can experiment, and if you don't like it, trash it and start all over again, and you haven't cost any materials. Okay, I hope you understood that. I tried to be very concise. I hope that made sense. I'm going to take a minute and talk about the paper dimensions that I listed for you for this video. The paper dimensions that are listed are not the most efficient way of using the paper. Since I'm going to be making a total of 14 cards, and of course I will be using these similar cutouts for several different cards, I would not just cut one out of each of these papers, but I would cut it in such a way so that I could maximize the papers and get as many as I could. But that doesn't make sense to list it that way. So the listing of the materials is in a different way than what I'm going to actually show you when I go through it. So for example, I may show you just to cut the one piece from this green and this beige and this black, but of course you can get multiple out of that, so you wouldn't cut it that way. But I wanted to make sure, so there's no confusion, that these materials that I've listed is going to do all of the cards. So you're going to have to move things around to make sure that you get as many as you actually need to do these designs. Of course, you're always free to just bring in extra paper if you wanted to, because the black and the beige is probably very inexpensive for you to get your hands on. I got this from Amazon. This is Staples, these two. This is standard cardstock, which you can get in a ream at Staples, and it's very inexpensive. That's probably why I chose these two colors. And plus it sort of looks nice with the brown. But paper saving is very important in card making because it can start adding up. So I wanted to take a little bit of extra time. I know that's going to increase the length of the video, but I wanted to be really sure that I was clear about how you're going to go about cutting these materials. Since I'm going to be mass producing cards, I wanted to talk a little bit about how the MISTI tool will help you in mass producing. You just lay out the stamps where you need it to be the one time, and you just stamp as many as you want. So if I were doing 1 card or 5 cards, or in this case 14 cards, I would just set it up once and it would be ready to go. And in order to help me do that, I have created a little key, a little template here. So I will use this template to get my stamps set up exactly where I want them to be on the MISTI tool. So I just take the stamp and put it right over the stamping. I just look right through it, transfer it to the door. And for the other stamp, I need to use this part of the MISTI tool because this is going to be stamped in a different color. Same thing, just line it up, transfer it to the door. So now I am ready to go, and I just bring in a blank paper and just off I go. Stamp, stamp, stamp. If I wanted to do 10 cards, just stamp all of these, and then when I'm ready for this one, take this and move it up here, ink that with the new color, and just keep stamping. Another way that I am going to show how to help is to make other layout for the other direction. This of course is portrait and this is landscape. So if I wanted some cards to be portrait and some to be landscape, I wouldn't have to stop and reinvent the wheel. I would just take and use my key and put the stamp in place, same as before, and transfer it to the door, and then off I go. Taking a few minutes to set up a key to help you with the MISTI tool will really save a lot of time later on. Now for the die cutting. I have the black mat from the outside of the card, and I'm going to cut the black items from it, and this is going to be some paper saving because this cutout part will be covered by the yellow panel. You will not see it. It's just you have to be sure that you stay within a 1/4 inch border around it because that will all be covered. So I'm just going to run it through. And I have my plate on standby. So I'm going to take the cutouts, which is sticking, and just pop it right into my plate so it all be together. Now I'll need to get an additional 2 out of here. I'll do that real quick. Now I'm going to get the outline of the hugs. I'm going to need to get at least 3 from here. And for the stitched outline, I'm going to get it from this, and I need to get at least 3 from there. I'm going to do all this die cutting and I'll be right back with you. You also need to get 1 bee out of the one end of the white strip. Now I have all of my die cuts out of the mats and the strips, and everything is in this plate all together, and this is going to be waste. I could try to see if I could get 1 more out of here, but I don't think I will. All right, now to go on to the stacking of the die cuts. All right, this is everything in order, and I have my Connect Glue by Gina K, and I'm going to go through and glue everything. But first I need to stamp the bees, and I have the little bee stamp. I've tried doing this where I stamped it and then die cut it, but for this very small stamp it just did not work out very well. So I'm going to stamp it after I've cut it. And you can just look right through the stamp and see what you're doing. There. Now by the time I get around to it, that will have dried. So set this aside. Now just take and a little bit of glue is all you need for this one, and put it in place. And I'm using glue and not tape because that gives me an extra second to move it around if I need to, and then give it a good press. And then a little bit of glue on this one. Just need to hit the high spots. You don't need to get every little bit because this is small. Turn it over. Hope you can see this all right because my hands are getting in the way. All right, I'm gonna use my nail, move this a little bit. Yep, move that a little bit. Okay, once you get it where you are happy with it, give it one final press. All right, and the same thing for the bees. Now for the bees, I'm going to color them a little bit. I have a Squeeze Lemonade Distress Marker, and I will color the body. And I think I also did a little head here. and tumbled glass, and I'm going to give a very little coloring on the bottom part of the wing because I didn't want it to be all white. Okay, now I'm going to finish up this and move on. And here's my swarm of bees. It was has a lot of bees, but each card I'm going to probably want 2 bees, so it's a lot. Okay, next step. And now assembling everything. I've done that preliminary work, so this should go very quick. For the next prototype, I have the piece that I've cut 5 by 2.5, and there are 2 of these in total, and this is the prototype that I designed for this one. This one's going to be a Father's Day card, and I've went through the same steps as before, and this is the finished card that I'm going to make. The only change that this is going to be from the other card in the methods that I take is the white strip that I have set aside as part of the materials. You need to cut this in half so that you can get 2 1/4-inch strips from this one piece. Also, for the mat, you're going to do the same thing as before. Use the mat to get all of the the cutouts, and also we're going to get the hexagon out of this also. Now that is going to be a tricky punch because you're going to have to make sure that you come in as far as the punch will go so that you will not have this cut edge showing. And I guess you could maybe see, yeah. So if you just go in just to the edge, that is not enough and it'll be shown. So you have to go in as far as the punch will go. If you've punch it out and you feel that you didn't get it quite, then you'll have to get another piece of black paper. Other than that, I'm going to put the card together. The next card design is for the piece of paper that is 5 by 2. There's a total of 4 at this size, and this is the prototype that I designed. It's a thank you card, and this is the final card. In order to make this card, I'm adding one more stamp to the list of materials, and that is the thank you grid stamp by Hero Arts. Everything else will be the same as before, so I'm going to just step right through it. The next prototype I'm going to make is for the pieces of paper that are 5 by 1.5. There'll be 2 of this one. And this is the prototype I made. It's a happy birthday card. And this is the final card here. For this card, I'm going to do some masking with some post-it notes and some negative space line drawing here, but mostly everything else will be the same. And the final one is the 2 pieces that are 4 inches by 2. There's only 2 for this left. And this is the prototype that I have created for this. And this is the card layout. Everything else is what has been done already. This is going to probably be the fastest one to put together. Alright, and now that was all the cards. Here is the paper again that I was working with, and I'm going to show you each of the cards one by one. This was the first one, the prototype, and the cards. The Father's Day cards, the prototype, and the cards. The thank you card. A birthday card. Oops, try to get it back in the screen. All right, a lot of cards here. And the final card, push that up. All right, 14 cards, all from the one sheet of paper. The one sheet wonder technique is really helpful in paper saving, and if you take a little bit of time and plan ahead, you can get maximum amount of cards from minimal amount of supplies. And making the prototypes like I have shown here is really helpful toward this. You could of course have this one layout. You could have done all cards with this one layout and you would have got 12 cards in total by just making even cuts, 3 columns, 3 rows, and that would be very simple. You wouldn't have to spend too much time with it. Or you could have done any of these that you chose, and you could come up with other designs also. There are a lot of videos out there on the one sheet wonder technique, and I have quite a few on my channel also. I hope to bring you a few more as the year goes by, because knowing how to maximize your 12 by 12 sheets of paper is really a good skill to have as a card maker. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I know that it was a little longer than my usual videos because I did so many cards, but I hope that you stuck with me throughout the entire video. Please hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate getting the subscribers and the comments, and I hope that the things that I'm bringing you are helpful and useful to you. I'd like to thank my brother David for the music, and I hope you're enjoying that. Take care, everyone, and keep scrapping.